In this video, we are going to show you how to remove the Fender autopilot repeater cameras on the new 2026 Model Y Juniper. So if you haven't, you can actually watch our video on how to remove this Fender trims, and this is going to be important for you to successfully remove the autopilot repeater cameras. So we're going to put the link below in the description and inside this video as well. So as soon as you remove the Fender wheel trim well, you can actually put your fingers through here. But before you do, I like loosening up the clip right here. So a lot of these wheel wells are held by these little plastic clips. You can use one of our trim tools and just get under. There's actually a little slit. Just get underneath it and it pops out and it separates like this. Once it goes in, look at this. It tightens up and it actually expands, and that's what actually keeps that in place. So these are very, very common in automotive. And once you do that, before you get started, I always like taping the autopilot area. So I go like all the way in, just a little bit, so no scratches happen. So just go all the way in, just like that. Doesn't have to be pretty. There's two clips right here on this side and one right here closer to the camera. You're gonna go ahead and insert your fingers. All right, I already got one clip. I feel it right here, and then another one right here, and it should just pop out. It's a little. Oh, it clipped back there. I don't know if you heard that. So what would make it easier if someone did hold, because your fingers start to kind of tighten up right there. That does help a lot if you just have someone to hold right there. Okay, there you go. So basically the most important one is right here. Do you see this right here? This is really the only clip that holds. This kind of keeps it in place. It does kind of shift a little bit, but that is the only thing. So technically you could actually get something like this tool and kind of, if you do this often, I think this is what a lot of pros will do. They'll get something like this, a little bit more like ledged, and just go in, push that. I kind of use this as it's right behind the camera right here, right? And then once you push it in, it should pop out. So let me just try. I'm gonna put it back in. See, there's not a whole lot of space right here. Let's see if I could loosen that. Or if it's, oh, let me see if I could do it again from here. Okay, it's probably a lot easier if you could just push it up, right? So you can see right here, it's just a little push clip. But I feel like just because you can feel it, it's a little bit easier to go through the wheel well. But if you're in a pinch, you could do that technique. We actually did that on the Model 3 Highland. Worked pretty well. There isn't really a difference. So when I look at this camera, there really isn't any difference for the most part. It looks very, very similar to the 2025 version and the newer Model 3 Highlands, right? So to remove this, I have my car in service mode. I typically like doing that when I remove stuff, mainly because the car doesn't go crazy, right? You just push this out and you just hold this and then you kind of pull back, right? And that's the trick. So that's something I learned over removing a lot of stuff, is that you just, if you pull back, look what happens. It actually kind of goes out like that, right? So after you pull, there's another pull, but when you do that, it actually releases some of that tension and it makes it way easier. So let me just show you what's happening when I pull it back. Watch this. You guys see that? You see that black thing kind of lift up, and that's what's actually releasing that. This one's a little bit easier. So there is another clip. There's a little ledge where you could put your nails under in between those ledges right there. And then there's actually a button right here, and you can see those three little bars. You just push this and it just comes out. Super, super easy. Always put this in a very, very safe space. I don't know where the safe space is. I'll just put it in my lap for now. And then typically if I'm working on the car for a long time, let's say I'm doing PPF or something like that, I do like to just, because there's water and moisture that could get in. These are weather rated, so it's not like it's gonna be a huge deal. And then this is a trick I do, is I always do this at the end so that when I remove it, I can just remove it super easy. And I just push it back in. You could actually recycle and use this tape that you barely use as well instead of doing that. But that is how you remove the autopilot sensors, or sorry, not sensors, autopilot repeater cameras. To put it in, very, very easy, right? Of course, there's also teeth right here. Do you see this teeth on the top? But you go from the bottom, and then once you get in the bottom, you just push up and it'll latch right here. These are plastic clips, so it does give a little bit in and out, right? So that's what's happening on the back end. And this is really the main thing that's really holding that in place. So hopefully that was helpful in removing the autopilot repeater cameras on the 2026 Model Y Juniper. We have a lot more content about removals, guides, and everything Teslas. So we'll see you later. Click on the subscribe button.